Okay, so thank you very much for the invitation. So I'm Sylvain Calinan. I'm a senior researcher at the IDIAP Research Institute. It's an institute in Switzerland specialized in machine learning, and I'm heading the robotics group that was created in 2014. So our group is specialized in learning from demonstration. In this presentation, I will highlight our research work toward combining optimal control of machine learning techniques in order to achieve variable impedance behaviors. I will mostly focus on the first topic, and I will highlight the two other topics as ongoing work. So let's start with the first topic, that is about combining optimal control strategies together with probabilistic models of tasks and skills. And I will start with this example. Let's imagine that we want to compute the crossing of these two segments. A stupid way of doing this would be to take each segment individually and to have only one point representing the whole segment as the center of the segment, and then computing the average of these 2 points in order to find the crossing. And as we all know, this is not the correct way to do that with segments. We need to take into account the full information, including the directions of the segment, in order to find the right crossing. So now in terms of probabilistic interpretations, we have the same problem. We can view the two as two distributions where we allow some variability for each of the distribution. And then we would like to compute a point that is agreeing with these two distributions. So we would like to find a point that is minimizing the distance to the centers of these two Gaussians, but by taking into account the fact that we have covariance matrices or precision matrices, which is the inverse of covariance matrices. So now if we solve that in a probabilistic fashion, we also find a point that is the crossing of these two Gaussians. But the interesting point is that we have a probabilistic representation of this, including the variations on the uncertainty measures. And during this presentation, I will show several works that are exploiting this product of Gaussians aspect. And I want to emphasize that this is quite generic in the sense that the product can encapsulate a simple averaging if we have distributions that are isotropic. And on the extreme case, if we have distributions that are close to singularity, then we have null space projection behaviors. So it means that we can model quite varied behaviors by using simply Gaussian distributions. Then I will also show that we don't necessarily need to have Gaussian distributions, but we can consider the problem as a product of experts, which is more generic, but also more complicated. So maybe to recall where we see these information fusion problems. So typically in Kalman filter, we can interpret this problem in the same way. Like we have a model with some uncertainty, we have a sensor with some uncertainty, and we need to take into account these different sources of uncertainties in order to estimate where our system is. And my takeaway message is that we can do the same if we are considering behaviors. So if we are considering controllers that are not doing the full task, but controllers that are doing only some part of the task, if we have the information about variations and uncertainty, we can coordinate these different controllers in order to find a resulting controller that is an orchestration of simpler controllers. In some way, it's like Lego bricks that we would put together in parallel and in series in order to build a more complicated task. So it looks similar to movement primitives, but movement primitives has this timing notion that here is not mandatory. So I prefer to call it behavior primitives in order to have like larger set of behaviors, including time independent skills. And in the next 3 or 4 slides, I will show different examples of our ongoing work trying to use behavior primitives for variable impedance control. The first work I would like to show is related to the dynamical movement primitives approach that is very popular, that is composed of 2 terms. One is a term being a feed-forward term that is learned, and another one being a feedback control term that is pre-specified. And here my takeaway message is that we don't need necessarily to pre-specify this term if we look at this problem as an optimal control problem, as a fusion problem, where we have a first part that can be based on demonstration, a second part that is based on an optimal control problem, and in this case, a simple linear quadratic regulator was used. The difference between a DMP is that here we are setting the objective, and the resulting controller will have an impedance behavior with gains, with stiffness and damping gains, but that are not predefined, that are found by the optimal control problem. And the other component that I would like to highlight is that we don't necessarily need to have a scalar superposition of the two terms, but we can take into account the uncertainties. And here in this approach, we were using this uncertainty in order to better orchestrate these two parts of the model in order to construct a resulting behavior that we tested in different spaces, including joint space, pixel space by having as input some perception aspect, and in force space. Now, the second work that I would like to show you is related to a planning problem. So this time, still a controller, but with anticipation. And if we look at the field of optimal control, the most simple form of optimal control that we can find is a problem of this type, with several error terms that are quadratic, that are defined as an error term where we try to track a desired path or reference. And we try to do it in a smooth way, in the sense that we would like to have control commands that are low in order to do this. And the whole problem will be a compromise between the two. And here we usually, when we set these problems in optimal control textbook, usually we have the experimenter setting these weight matrices Q and R. And what I will show is that we can also learn these matrices, and we can also consider full matrices. So instead of having only diagonal matrices, we can also consider coordination patterns that are interesting to model some aspects of the task. And all of this is driven by the evolution of the system. So in standard textbook, we have a system dynamics that can describe the robot. But in our work, we are also using this as virtual system. In the same way as with a DMP, we have a virtual system being attracted to the target point. Here we can also define the system dynamics as double integrator if we want to have acceleration commands. So it doesn't necessarily need to be the robot. And if it's not the robot, if it's just a linear system, then things are very easy, because the problem like that, where we would start from a point on where we would like to reach a target with some precision, will be very easy to solve. It can actually be an analytical solution if you look at it from the perspective of control commands as series of control commands that we would compute in an open loop fashion. So if we do this in this form, we have a problem that is related to the product of Gaussians that I showed before. But this time, we are doing a product at a trajectory level. We have a trajectory in control space. One of the trajectory is telling me to stay at 0, which is this part, to do it with minimal effort. So it means not moving. And one is telling what control commands will be the most efficient if you want to track a desired target. And then the solution here will be a trade-off between the two that is corresponding to this product of Gaussians. And what is interesting here is that we can view it from a trajectory perspective, but we can also view it from a controller perspective, meaning that we are computing here gains that are variable and that are depending on the task. So it means that if we describe the task with some via points that we want to reach, then we will have varying gains that will take into account the accuracy that we need. And this is something that we do in our work by combining this with models that are describing the variations of the task. So we're collecting demonstrations, and from these demonstrations, when we start from a new point, we can compute not only the trajectory, but the full controller, including the variations that are possible to achieve this task. So here it's related to the minimal intervention control principle, where we will cope with perturbations only if they have an impact with the task. And more recently, there is a presentation tomorrow at IROS regarding this. We extended this approach to nonlinear system or non-quadratic objective functions by moving it to ILQR and MPC control problems. Now I will briefly mention two other aspects that I believe are interesting for variable impedance control. One is related to the fact that when we do manipulation tasks, we are doing this with respect to objects in the environment. And here the product of Gaussians is also relevant when we want to combine controllers from different coordinate systems. In this video, you can show a robot recording demonstrations from the perspective of two landmarks. One is the robot itself, and the other one is an object, in this case, a shoe. And what you see as colored ellipsoids are two sets of Gaussians, one in blue, one in red. These are in different coordinate systems. And then the resulting product is what the robot should do in a new situation by fusing these different sources of information and by finding a way that is trying to have a similar movement being reproduced even if the position of the shoe has changed. Now, the last aspect of the work that I would like to present today is related to manipulability ellipsoids. So manipulability ellipsoids are symmetric positive definite matrices which have structures that are, I believe, interesting to exploit in order to reproduce manipulation skills with varying gates. So this structure is geometric, it's a Riemannian manifold. It's describing the preferred directions that a robot has in terms of velocity of forces. So if you think of the task of standing on a rope for a humanoid robot, maybe the exact position of the hand to balance the robot is not important. But what is important is to have a pose for the robot that enables the robot to react fast to perturbations. So to move the center of mass in a way that some directions will be preferred over others, depending on the direction of the rope. So here, this manipulability ellipsoid is doing is a descriptor describing this. And if we take the full manipulability ellipsoid information instead of a scalar index, then we can reproduce diverse tasks, even if the kinematic chain is different for the robot that we are targeting. Here we could show that in this work where we were using data set from human motion in different industrial tasks, and we were reproducing this with a platform of very different shapes, in this case with a Centaur robot. And here the manipulability ellipsoid was a good task descriptor for that. So I'm showing you this because I believe that this descriptor has also a role in variable impedance control, and our next work will be related to this. Currently, we exploit it only at inverse kinematics level, but the structure is valid for other types of controllers. So as a conclusion, I wanted to highlight that movement primitives should be extended to behavior primitives, that we should better exploit coordination, task variations, and model uncertainties. So there is really a need to combine probabilistic modeling approaches with optimal control techniques, that we can exploit variations in various forms at planning stage, at kinematic stage, or at task level, that we should combine multiple coordinate systems, and that we should, in general, exploit data structures and geometries, especially if we want to learn from a small set of demonstrations. So thank you for your attention, and I will finish with this slide with acknowledgement of the persons behind this work and the agencies that support this work.